In this video, we will look at two other types of calculations, specifically numeric calculations and date calculations. Numeric calculations are used if we want to create a new variable that doesn't exist in the dataset yet, but would aid to our visualization. So let's go to a new sheet, and let's say we want to look at our margin, and we define margin as the ratio of profits over sales. So we will have these two fields, and then we will essentially take a ratio of these two fields. So to create this variable, we can go to Analysis menu and then click on Create Calculated Field. Let's call it margins. And again, we have to create a formula at the aggregate level. So we'll have to use the sum value of profits, and then we can just bring in our profits into the view. So we have profits, and then we can divide that by our sum of sales. And as we can see, this is a valid calculation, and then this has created our ratio of profits to sales, and we click OK. We want to use our margins measure to look at a tree map of the way our margins are distributed across different markets and then by categories. So let's click on markets, then we'll click on category, and then let's also control click on our margins, and then we go to show me, and let's select tree map. And tree map needs one or two dimensions, and then it needs one or two measures. So our measure is margins, and then our dimensions are market and category. So if we click OK, then we get this nice tree map, and even though the default is very small, we can then just drag the pointers and adjust the size so that the labels are more legible. And here we see in a nice view that our margins in furniture in the US are really small, 0.02%, and the margins are the largest in Canada, and that's true across the board. Even furniture, which is not really a high profit category for us, seems to have higher margins in Canada than other categories. For the next view, suppose we're interested in looking at the difference between the date a product is ordered and the time it takes to ship that product. So we're interested in looking at our average shipping time by day across different countries. So to do that, we would need to create a date calculation. So we want to find a difference between two dates, the order date and the ship date. So we can go to Analysis, and then click on Create Calculated Field, and let's call it time to ship. And this will be a difference between two dates, and Tableau has a lot of built-in date and calendar functions. So if you go and click on date difference, we see that date difference looks at three arguments: the date part, which would be whether we want the day or the month or the year, and then the start date and the end date. And this is when if our week is starting at a different day than Sunday, but the default is Sunday, so we can leave this blank. So we'll start by typing in date difference, and then in single quotes we will type in day. It should be in small letters, and then we will bring in our start date, which is our order date, and then our second date is our ship date. So we'll bring in ship date into view, and then we can delete this extra. So this is a valid calculation, and this is giving us the difference in our order versus ship date. Click OK. So let's say we want to see this on a map. We want to see the difference or the extent of shipping delays across our different transactions. So we can click on country, and that populates our view with a map of the various countries. And let's bring in our time to ship to color. Now the default aggregation is sum. Sum doesn't really make much sense. We would want to get our average, so we can again do a quick calculation here, and we can say instead of measure sum, give us the average. So this gives us the time to ship, and the darker regions are giving us more shipping delay, and the lighter regions are giving us less shipping delay. Then this is a very busy way to visualize this, and we can edit the colors into something that is less busy. And usually we have a graded scheme, and we have shade from red to black. That really will be able to separate out our shipping delays from low to high. So let's use a red to black white. However, we will use it in reverse way, so that our red points out our attention to the countries in which we have a larger shipping time, and then black is countries which have a lower shipping time. And we can click on reversed here. We click OK. So now we see that the red areas are countries in which we have a fairly large shipping time, and then the black areas are countries where we have a smaller shipping time, and then in between.